Hello, I'm Michael Kraft, and today's video will be called The Books I Use to Study Bible Chronology. And of course, you have to start with the King James, but there's two different King James, and I'm going to show you both of them. This one here is the King James version of the Bible it's the giant print reference edition with concordance and by Nielsen, and yeah, I use that. But then of course there is the other King James, that is the 1611 version of the Bible, the done by Cambridge Bibles, cameo reference edition Bible, and it looks like this right here. It's the Holy Bible King James Version with the Apocrypha in it, done by Cambridge. Okay, and then there's the other 16, the Holy Bible 1611 edition. This is the 400th anniversary edition, and if you take the cover off, which you can see here, I put the tape on it. You can use this too. Now, of course, when I first started getting into biblical chronology, and I noticed that it was different, I started using this book right here. This my aunt gave me this book because I really wasn't proficient in the King James with all the these and thous, and so when I figured out that it was just it didn't really matter, it was the same thing, except this has taken some things out, and it's a student Bible. But one interesting thing, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I think I went too far. I'm trying chapter 5. Yeah. In the NIV, the numbers, if you can see it, yeah, the numbers are just numbers. They're not words. But in the King James, they're words and numbers. So, okay, now, what got me to doing chronology and understanding that the numbers overlap was another book, the Oxford Companion to the Bible, and it has a chronology section in it. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, now it has, as you can see, I marked in it like I did the NIV, and I don't know if you can see every word or whatever, but what I'm looking for specifically is that simple addition and datum point of creation. Okay, it says, for example, Adam was 130 years old when his son Seth was born. Seth was 105 when his first son Enosh was born. Genesis 5:3 through 6. By such addition, we can reckon that the flood began in the year of 1656 AM. So basically it's saying that the ages overlap. You are a certain age when you have your child. It's just like if a guy was 35 years old when he had his first son. Now, when his son is 35, how old is the man? The man is 70 years old, pretty much. So it's the same thing in the Bible. And then of course, as you saw the condition that my other NIV was in, I got another NIV, and now it's kind of in poor condition. It's falling apart. Because whenever I study, That's just me. I get into it. Now, of course, there are other helps that you can use to look up words. I really don't. I don't really look up the numbers, because when you compare the texts between the King James, the Book of Jasher, and the Book of Jubilees, you can tell that the chronology was off. Even the Septuagint has off chronology. The numbers are just too large, and it goes over its time periods. But this book right here, the King James New Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, is very good for looking up words and phrases and things like that in Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew. And then there's also, when you just want to find something quick, there's the Compact Bible Dictionary by Zondervan. And one reason I like this, if I could just look up a word right quick. And it actually says this in here. Alright. Ham. In parentheses, Ham, perhaps hot. The youngest son of Noah, born probably 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. His indecency with his father lay drunken, brought a curse upon Canaan. Genesis 9:20-27. City east of Jordan. Genesis 14:5 and 3. The descendants of the original Ham. Psalm 78:51, 105:23, and 106:22. In these passages, Ham is used for another name for Egypt, as representing Ham's principal descendants, with which, when you do word studies in other cultures outside of the Bible, you find out Ham was called Kemet. So Ham's name actually could have been Kim or Kemet. But from what it says in here, basically the Negroes in America and the ones that were spread around the world are the Israelites. It's in a way, it's telling you who the Israelites really are and who they are not by saying Negroes. And now they are in these new dictionaries. They're actually taking out the term Negro and putting in African, because they want you to believe. They actually want you to believe that you were from Africa, when actually what it was that, if I could get it back. Okay. It would sound crazy if you didn't know, but there was a time when the 10 tribes found a way away from that side of the world, where those fake Israelites are today, over to this side of the world, and they were here in Brazil and America. They had overtaken North America and things like that, because there's nobody here except some other Canaanite tribes. If I could find the passage. Okay, I found it. Now, this is in 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, 13:10. And this is after the explanation of the prophecy. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read from 40 all the way to 46. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea, the king whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. Now, this Osea is Hosea, King Hosea. 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth unto a further country where never mankind dwelt. So basically, I believe this had to have happened. If you get the timing on Jonah and when he would have went to Nineveh, and at that time God spared it when he finally went. I believe it was 400 years later when they left, because at that time they were destroyed. Nineveh was destroyed and some other places, but that's a whole nother teaching. I can't prove that right now. Okay. 42. That they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. It doesn't look like they kept them. 43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. This means that they basically went south. 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood until they were passed over. This is them going through the Euphrates, going down and around Africa into the bottom of the Atlantic. For through that country, 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Azarath. Let me see. Azarath just means another country. It's not a name for America, because actually the ancient name for America is the feathered serpent. I wish I could remember what the name was. I just gave you the definition, so that wasn't very okay. But then dwelt they 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come, we're supposed to come back. The highest shall say, the highest shall, 47, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. So basically, the same way they came, the same way they went, the same way they're going to come. So, okay, and then of course I have another King James version. This is ironically the African American version. I believe the only difference is the study in the front. It's actually the African American. No, every time I say that, African American Jubilee Edition. When we study further, you'll understand why I do that. But it just has the study based, I guess, supposed to be on our perspective, but I don't consider myself African American. And then, of course, the last reference book that I want to get into is the Wycliffe Bible Edition. This is another good book, although just like some of the other books, it is a Western book, and some things you can't really trust. You got to go outside of it. But I want to go to the chronology section, because it also has a chronology section, so I can tell you about this guy. Alright. It has a chronology section. And I wanted to tell you about this guy named James Ussher. If I could find it. Okay. Now, it says, gotta go back because it starts the sentence on the other page. Now, many editions of the King James Version contain in the margins Old Testament dates, which are the result of computations made by Archbishop James Ussher, first published in his Annals, 1650 to 58. According to his scheme of reckoning, the creation of the world took place in 4004 BC, exactly 4,000 years before Christ's birth. Which I want to say, I do not believe in the Christ. I don't believe in Jesus as the Christ because that's Greek anointed. It's Roman anointed. I believe in the Messiah to come. In fact, I believe the Messiah has been born the year 2000. It was that baby that was born. No, it was the year 2013. I'm sorry. That baby that was born, and they named the child Messiah. And the courts were like, you can't name your child that, and which was ridiculous because this child has already got the government on his back from the time of his birth, and yes, he was a Negro child. So, but I'm going to continue this. Since Ussher's dates were computed at a time when chronological data of nations surrounding Israel was not yet available or incorrectly understood, it is not surprising to find that his dates can no longer be considered a valid system of chronology. 3 centuries of increasing knowledge in the field of ancient history have thoroughly outmoded them. Now, I do not use any method by this man, but he showed that the Bible, I read somewhere else, he showed that the Bible was off by 1,000 years. And so he corrected that. Now, if he can show that the Bible was off by 1,000 years, and then corrected, and then in the King James, everybody follows his system to a certain extent, but then they abandon it. The time in which they abandon it is that they do not include the pre-flood world. They always say it was prehistory, but the Bible just says it was history. It really happened. And some of these mythological books, a lot of these mythological books, retell the same story in a different way. They tell it from the perspective of the fallen angels, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. These fallen angels and demigods. These demigods were Nephilim, which the Greeks called Titans. So, yeah. But another book I use is the Book of Jubilees. And this book has, let's see how many chapters it has. It has exactly 50 chapters. Interesting, since the Jubilee is 50 years. But you have to count it by sevens. Then there is the Book of Jasher. Mine is by J.H. Perry Publishers. I'm not saying that this is like the best version or anything. Just like the Book of Jubilees, there's a lot of different versions. I just took this one, and to study it, I used to go to BibleFacts.org. You can go to BibleFacts.org. They have a section on myths and legends, unless they've taken it off. I haven't been there in a while. But this book has 91 chapters. And when I first got this book, I was excited to find out that it had chronology in it. And I want to show you something else. You can see those dates right there. This is just like page 3. And I went through this whole book marking all the chronological passages either with highlighter or pen. Okay, and then of course, some of my critical remarks, some of my critical remarks on chronology come from this book. People want you to believe that the 4,000-year timeline, or 4004 as it said in the other book, is the correct timeline. They take out a lot of years out of the Bible and blend them with other years from other cultures just to get the correct years. When they don't understand, all you have to do is figure out, when did the Tower of Babel happen? And when was it destroyed? And then when people scattered. When you know those 3 things, you know the correct date, you know the dates that the world starts, their founding of stuff, because when they go away from the Tower of Babel into their own lands, well, that's when they would have to start recording time for them. The Hebrews, well, they weren't really established at that time. They came later through Abraham, and that's why there's a clear-cut chronology in the Bible. And there's things in here that it says that I've written down that I'm not going to produce here right now, but it lets me know that well, I can just read it. I can just show you an example. Now, it says that dates are approximate and dependent on the interpretive theories. These are theories. It's not facts, they're theories of various scholars. You don't even know who these guys are. Their names are not even in here. Or if they're in here, I'm not looking for them. I don't really care, because I think I believe their chronology is crap. A key element in this chart is the use of low Mesopotamian chronology together with certain astronomical and archaeological synchronisms for the 12th and 18th Egyptian dynasties. Who here knows you are not supposed to go by the sun, the moon, and the stars? You're not supposed to go by what's written. Especially the law, which we can't do in America because, well, this is not really our land. Our land is on the other side of the world. Emphasis is placed on broad historical periods and cultural sequences. So basically, when they mixed this together, they took South Mesopotamian, North Mesopotamian, Egyptian, Syria, Palestine, which is Israel, Anatolia, Crete, Persian, Greece, and Italy. They took all their time periods and they put them together. And this is what it looks like. And you can see I marked on the page wrong, because all that stuff is wrong. I have been studying since 1997 on biblical chronology, and while I may not be finished with my work, I've done enough of my work to be able to tell it was not 4,000 years when the Romans was doing everything that they were doing to rule the world. It was a little bit later than that. I can also tell that the Punic Wars happened earlier and later than everybody says. And when I get into that on my website, all will be shown from the perspective of biblical history and history outside of the Bible, using chronology. So I just want to say, in closing, thank you for watching. and that I also have a page at GoFundMe.com, and I'm going to leave a link for that on the YouTube page. So if you would like to fund me, please just fund me $5 each so I can reach my goal of 500, and then I'll be able to have enough to finance that website. That is the Bible as a history book.com. Right now I have 10 chapters, an introduction, and some unfinished work that I'm still working on. So hopefully by the time you see this video, I'll be done finished it. But the next video after this one will be the study process approach to biblical chronology. I'm going to show you how I broke all this stuff down and what you really have to do to study it. So thank you again. Be blessed and praise higher. Thank you.